comment,
and subscribe for more content.
Where's the notification bell?
It's to the right of you.
Oh.
Ooh, what's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I am DK Wrestler.
And I am MD Shady.
And in today's podcast, there are not any New York Comic Con exclusive reveals. Actually, on a technicality, there is, because there is the early reveal that we will be discussing about on the podcast today. But overall, it's not a week-long reveals like we were expecting for this week. But we do have a decent selection of Funko Pops to talk about that were announced this past week. This podcast, originally, we were going to have the top 10 Funko Pops of September 2021, but that's going to be postponed till next week to fill up some time on next week's podcast, since things are a little bit slow, especially with Funko announcing as of last night, as we are recording this, because today we are recording this on a Wednesday, being the Cartoon Classics reveals announced by Funko last night. So, MD, what are your early predictions for these Cartoon Classic reveals? Because I feel like you seem to be super pumped about these reveals.
I mean, yeah, I am really pumped about it, actually. I collect a lot of animation pops, so getting more of those would be awesome. I mean, it could be a lot of things. I actually did just hear from a buddy of mine that there was a couple of leaks that he said. He mentioned only a couple different shows, and I'm not sure if those are for the Cartoon Classics, but they probably could be. So I won't really talk about those. But what else could it be? When you think about Cartoon Classics, I mean, there's so much. I mean, I would love to see more Popeye stuff. We need to see olive oil. That'd be really cool to go along with that Popeye pop. I mean, there's so much. We could see some more Looney Tunes. We can see some older Disney and Mickey Mouse stuff, which would be pretty cool. But there's also just a huge variety of shows that are like very old now, I guess you could say, like more than, let's say, 15 to 20 years old. That's like, there's a huge variety of shows. I mean, I could go on forever listing shows, but I'm definitely pumped, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of pops I'll want to be getting from these Cartoon Classics.
Yes, so those reveals will be happening Friday, September 24th, which actually will be the day this podcast actually releases. So as you guys are listening to this podcast, of course, you guys probably know what the reveals are already as terms of these Cartoon Classic reveals. But without further ado, we will talk about this week's Funko Pop announcements, or this past week's Funko Pop announcements, which the first section range from September 13th up until September 16th. So kicking off, we got ourselves some U.S. Air Force Pops, which we got 3 males and 3 females, in which each gender has a Caucasian, Hispanic, and African American military member, which these are expected to release as early as November 2021. On that same day, Funko had announced a 20th anniversary wave of Monsters, Inc. Funko Pops, which we got ourselves common pops of Boo with Hood, Celia, Mike Wazowski with Mitts, Sully with Trash Lid, and Yeti, with exclusive pops of Sully with Boo that will be going to the Funko shop, Sully with Trash Lid Flocked variant, which would be an Amazon exclusive, and then a scented Yeti that will be going to Hot Topic. And these are expected to release as early as December 2021. Then on the next day, on September 14th, Playhouse Thailand had announced their own exclusive pop of Ronald McDonald, which also has a 1-in-6 glow-in-the-dark chase variant, in which this is available now not only on Playhouse Thailand's website, but at various retailers, essentially across the globe, actually, surprisingly. On that same day, Funko had announced the next pop involved in the Star Wars Across the Galaxy set, which we have Princess Leia with the medal, which this is representing Yavin, I'm pretty sure it's called, Amazon exclusive, and this is expected to release as early as November 2021. On that same day, Chalice Collectibles had announced their own exclusive pop of Crollo from Hunter x Hunter, which this is expected to release as early as 2022, early 2022, I should say. Then on September 15th, Funko had announced a pop of Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park, which this will be exclusive to Target, and it is expected to release as early as January 2022. And last but not least, for the set of reveals announced on September 16th, we have more US, I guess, military pops, which we have ourselves essentially US Army and US Marine pops, which, of course, for each of those categories, we have 3 males, 3 females, in which each gender has a Caucasian, African American, and Hispanic military personnel. Realistically, kicking off with the US Air Force pops, which I'm not going to go into discussion about those right now because I feel like I'll just talk about them when we talk about the US Army and the Marines pops, since those are kind of back to back there. So I might as well talk about all of them at the same time because I pretty much generally have the same opinion about all 3 sections. So I guess realistically for me, kicking off with the 20th anniversary Monsters Inc. pops, which this is really cool. This was actually on my wish list at the end of last year going into 2021, where I wanted a 20th anniversary wave of Monsters Inc. pops because I know that this year is the 20th anniversary of Monsters Inc. And this is honestly a solid wave. I can't really think of what actually could be my favorite pop in this entire wave, just because all of these pops are just great in their own way. So I guess I'll talk about these individually one by one. We have Boo with hood, which is great. This is actually the first Boo with the actual like hood up. The older one actually didn't have the hood up, which I like this one better because this is how I would remember Boo through the majority of the movie, where she has the kind of monster outfit and you actually see that hood up there with the eyes and everything. I think it looks very awesome. Celia finally gets her own Funko Pop, and it is great. I kind of mentioned in our brand new Monsters Inc. Funko Pops video we did on the channel, which will either be a suggestion thingy above or the end card for today's podcast, that this is a great Funko Pop. And I kind of figured going into these announcements, like if they were to make a Celia Pop, that the snake eyes would just be a black color and not, let's say, like white eyes with a black dot. It's still fine though. It's cool that we finally have a Celia Pop because I kind of feel it's long overdue. Speaking of long overdue, is a brand new Mike Wazowski pop. We have not seen a Mike Wazowski pop since I believe the Monsters University wave in 2013. So we're almost pushing 10 years since the last variant of Mike Wazowski ever being made, which is pretty crazy to think about. And they did a great job with this Mike Wazowski, honestly, especially with the expression on his face, and they added a mouth to it because I think the original ones did not have a mouth to it. And now with this one, it does have a mouth to it. And I think it looks amazing. Sully with the trash lid. Now, if I were to choose a least favorite, it probably is this one, not because it's bad, but because we've had quite a bit of Sully variants, and this one is a little meh, but I totally understand why they made this, and that's because this is in the exact scene as the Mike Wazowski. They go hand in hand. Sully has the trash lid and the, I guess I'm assuming it was the pasta strainer on his head as kind of his gear to kind of defend himself from the humans, so to speak. Then we got ourselves Yeti, which I think this is amazing. Yeti is also one of those characters that I was hoping would be made into Funko Pop form, especially for a 20th anniversary wave of Monsters Inc. Pops. And they did a great job. It's simple, but it's effective because all you really need to do with the Yeti is have a tray of snow cones and just him being all happy about it. And I think they did a great job with that. The exclusive pops, we got the Sully with Boo, which I think a lot of people were super hyped about in the comments section. I think it's really cool. I like this variant of Sully and how he's kind of scared. He's got the cardboard box that normally you have the noodles in, and you have Boo in there with her tongue sticking out. Just, it's a little bit of a Poppin' Buddy, which I really like, but it's not a Poppin' Buddy, so you only have to pay the normal like $15 Canadian price for it. Or if you go to GameStop Canada and it's an exclusive, it would be $19.99. But you get my gist. Pretty much retail price for 2-in-1 characters. The Sully with the trash head flocked variant, I mean, that's cool. It's understandable. And then last but not least, we have the scented Yeti. And I think this is just a genius idea, especially because knowing this, it's going to be like lemon scented because, of course, the snow cones are lemon flavored. I don't remember there ever being a lemon scented Funko Pop besides the strawberry shortcake pops that were like the very first scented pops. The Ronald McDonald, I don't know what to call this, whether it's like praying Ronald or whatever it is, but this is okay. We had the Diamond Collection Ronald McDonald for McDonald's Australia released recently. And now we have this one, which was a little bit of a surprise. And it's pretty crazy of Funko kind of doing exclusives for different countries per se. Now it makes me think like, could there be a like McDonald's Canada exclusive McDonald's pop of like Ronald maybe holding a bottle of maple syrup with a tray of hotcakes, as they call it, instead of pancakes? You never know. Like there's an endless possibilities of like country exclusive pops for Ronald McDonald now that they've dipped their toes in Australia and Thailand. This is pretty decent, at least with this one, unlike the Diamond Collection. I do like it for the sense that it's a slightly different pose. It's not the same mold as the original Ronald McDonald and then add a specification to it. And there's also a glow in the dark chase, which in our photo we're looking at, it was the original photo posted where it was a green glow in the dark, but it has since updated to a white glow in the dark. Then we have Princess Leia for the Across the Galaxy set, which this is okay. I mean, I guess it makes sense that they did this. And it's one of those pops that like I'm surprised that they didn't make already, because we've seen so many different Princess Leia pops. You just assume that they would have already made this variant, but it's still okay. It's pretty decent for the Across the Galaxy set. Then we have Crollo, I think it's pronounced. I don't exactly know, from Hunter x Hunter, which a lot of people are excited for because of the fact that we only got like a wave of Hunter x Hunter pops last year, and people weren't sure if Funko were kind of dipping their toes to make more Hunter x Hunter pops, and we do. And the whole detailed like attire and essentially just the pop overall is pretty cool with the whole, I don't know if that's a tattoo on his head or some sort of logo, kind of like, let's say, Yami Merrick from Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of dealio. I think it's really cool. And I know that a lot of people are hyped for this pop. Then we have Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park, which this is a pretty decent pop. I know that the head is translucent, and I can't exactly remember Mr. DNA because it's been so long since I've watched Jurassic Park. And now we have the military pops, which I'm going to discuss all three of them as terms to the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Army, and the U.S. Marines, which I think all of these are great in their own ways. And I kind of like the idea that they actually are like separating them as terms to representing like this is a Caucasian, this is a Hispanic, this is an African American. I think it's really cool. I think there were some people that were kind of heated over the fact that they feel like the US Air Force attire should be more like the US Army attires. But I mean, at the same time, at least Funko kind of put effort into kind of slightly changing the outfits. And then the Marine outfits, those are pretty sweet. I can definitely look at that and be like, yeah, that's a US Marine, unlike a US Army and a US Air Force outfit. And I do really like the kind of, I want to say it's a captain's attire for the Marine. I think that's really cool. That's what I really think of when I think of a Marine, is kind of that outfit. But overall, I think it's a great idea that they're kind of dipping their toes in this for their Pops for Purpose program. And I kind of hope that they make more pops like this in the future, where like a lot of people are commenting, where's like EMTs and firefighters and police officers. I think it'd be cool to start having those kinds of people also represented into Funko Pop form. We kind of already got this also with the nurses for the COVID relief. They did that last year. So that was kind of the beginning of what we're seeing right now. So it's a cool idea that they are making these kinds of pops, especially if, let's say, you have like a parent or a grandparent that was a part of the Army or Marines or Air Force per se.
Okay, so I guess I will also talk about the Navy pops or the Air Force pops after the Marines and the Army. So I will start with Monsters Inc. And this wave of pops is beautiful. Oh, so pumped about this. This is so awesome. Boo with the hood up is really, really cool, considering it is decently hard to get your hands on that original Boo with the costume with the hood down from many moons ago. Celia is amazing. I mean, it definitely was a pop that was overdue. We needed Celia. I mean, we got some random characters like, let's say, Chef, and that was like a pop where it's like, okay, did we really need this? Where Celia is more of a main character or a like more of a fan favorite character. So I definitely think it needed to be done, and thank God it's getting done now. The snakes look really awesome. The facial expression also looks cool. I like how the lips are kind of to the side. They're not right down the middle of the face, which is good. It gives more expression to the face, and the pose on the body isn't bad either. And it's really cool that it comes with a stand, because there's no way that that pop would be standing without a stand, at least from my experience in the past. The Mike Wazowski is awesome. This is such a great Mike to do. If they didn't do this one, I could say like a better version would possibly be where he like has the microphone in his hand. I think that would have been cool as well. But this is amazing. My only gripe about it is I think they potentially missed something they could have done. I think there should have been a chase version of this pop where his eye is pink because he ends up, I believe, spraying himself in the eye with the aerosol can and his eye goes pink. That would have been a super awesome chase to get, but maybe we'll see it as like a con exclusive down the road where you have the pink-eyed Mike, which would be hilarious. Sully, it's a perfect pop to go with this Mike. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 2-pack of these pops down the line. Do we need it? I don't think so because you can just buy both the pops, but I'm glad that they did this version of Sully. I like how he has the what is that, like a colander, like a strainer on his head, and then he's got the pot lid in his hand. The expression looks great, and I'm always up for new Sully pops because they always look awesome. And then we have Yeti, and he is so cool. I'm so pumped that we have Yeti. I mean, just such a great idea, and I love how this pop looks. It looks so good. The Funko Shop exclusive, I really enjoy this version of Sully and Boo as well. Obviously, that's when they're in the Chinese restaurant where Chef is from, obviously, who I was just talking about. Yeah, it's kind of a pop and buddy pop, which is really awesome. And I feel like that's going to be one of the pops that people just really, really want to get their hands on. The Amazon exclusive flocked version of Sully, that's good. It makes sense. I don't know which one I'll be getting. I might get the Amazon exclusive and maybe just pass on the common, but we'll see. And then last but not least, we have the scented Yeti. Happy it's going to Hot Topic, pretty easily accessible for us. And it's scented, which is very, very cool. I hope that Monsters Inc. continues this line in 2021 or even going into 2022, because there's a lot of other characters I could think of that I'd like to see. Then we have the Thailand exclusive Ronald McDonald with the Chase version. Got a little backstory about this pop. So I have already purchased this pop. I ordered it off of Playhouse and I'm super excited for it to come in. I basically bought a bundle where you get the common, you get the Chase, you get the Mickey Mouse, which is basically doing the same pose. You get one random pop, which I'm super excited to see what that's going to be. And you also get 4 pop protectors. And the funniest thing is that while DK was talking about this pop, I got a text from Playhouse and they said basically that the package is on the way and I can like verify that I had purchased it so that I don't have to sign for it at the door due to all the things with the pandemic if I don't want to really talk to people, I guess. So I thought that was hilarious. Literally, while he was talking about it, I got a text from them. So I'm super excited and I hope it comes soon because I need all of the McDonald's pops, I guess, now at this point because I have the large majority of them besides that 5-pack. I really like this pop. I think it's cool. It makes sense. McDonald's is such a huge company, so why not give different countries their own exclusive? It would be cool to have a Canadian one. The hotcakes idea that DK came up with was pretty cool, but I could see them doing more of like a North American release rather than Canadian, but we'll see. I'm definitely happy that they're pumping out some more on McDonald's, and if they keep on doing them and they're good like this one, I'll keep buying them. The Princess Leia Amazon exclusive, the Yavin one, this is pretty cool. I like this pop. I would like to see the other characters. So I'm talking Luke with the kind of yellow jacket I believe he wears in this scene, Chewie and Han. I think those would be really cool where they have their medals. That was just a really awesome scene. I think everyone really enjoys that scene where they're kind of being appreciated for their hard work. And this pop's cool. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see those other pops down the line. Then we have Crollo from Hunter x Hunter, and this is a pretty cool pop. I could definitely see people being super pumped for this pop because it looks really good, and I know a lot of people really enjoy Hunter x Hunter. And yeah, I mean, anime pops are always just so good at the detail. I think it's mostly because the costumes and kind of the character designs are always so out there and also have a lot of detail to be done. So there's so much detail, even on that book with the kind of, I guess you could call it like a skeleton handprint on the front of the book. It just looks really, really cool. And I think that this is going to sell really, really well. I'm just surprised that there's no chase version that's glow in the dark somehow, because that's generally what we see from anime pops, especially when they're exclusives like Chalice Collectibles. Mr. DNA. This is a pretty neat pop. I want to see what it looks like in person because I want to see how kind of translucent that head is. Because if it's kind of a, what would be the best way to put it? Like a cloudy translucent, that would kind of suck because you don't really want to see it. If you go back to Jurassic Park, it's definitely just his body parts floating, obviously. So I think it could look really, really cool, but it might also not turn out the best. And if I remember correctly from Jurassic Park, I believe he was kind of like part of a video, I think, where he's basically explaining about the dinosaurs at the park. I could be wrong because I haven't seen Jurassic Park since I was a tiny little one. But this is cool, and it's something new and refreshing for Jurassic Park rather than getting, for example, like 10-inch variants of the different dinosaurs. And then moving on to the Air Force, the Army, and the Marines pops. These are really cool. I'm personally not interested in them, but I think that they are really, really nice. And I'm glad that they kind of did 3 different sections because let's say if you are part of the Air Force or you are part of the Army, or last but not least, you are part of the Marines, you may want to get 1 or 2 of these pops, especially the way that they did the ethnicities is really awesome because if you're not Caucasian or you're not another one or the other, you can get one that's more suited towards you, which is just such a great idea by Funko. I think they did a really good job on this, and I wouldn't be upset if they kept going down the lines with doing kind of different pops like this, like how DK had discussed about the frontline workers that we got for the COVID relief last year. Those were pretty cool. They also weren't for me, but obviously, if you were a nurse, you might want one of those. And it's the same thing with these pops. Good job, Funko.
Are you looking for great pop protectors? Then look no further than popbox.ca. They have a variety of 4-inch and 6-inch protectors in different quantities. Do you want to get 10 protectors, 20? You can get even up to 250 pop protectors over on popbox.ca. And also use our promo code of Funko Popcast for 10% off of your entire purchase of pop protectors. The code is going on until supplies last. So go get your pop protector needs now over on popbox.ca using our code of Funko Popcast to get 10% off and also free shipping over $75 in both Canada and the US with duty fees included.
And let me tell you guys, we're not just screwing around here. These are some great pop protectors. We own a multitude of these protectors. They are some of the best I've seen. Stop buying from EB Games. I'm not boycotting EB Games by any means, but their pop protectors are not as good. So again, use code Funko Popcast for 10% off.
We'll move on to the next section of Funko Pops, which range essentially is just September 17th. This whole next section is all one day of reveal. Actually, September 17th and September 18th. Now, as I think about it. So kicking off September 17th, Funko had announced a wave of Black Light Stranger Things pops, which we got ourselves Demogorgon, 11, and Dustin, which all these are Target exclusives. Then we have ourselves announced by New York Comic Con themselves is 2 of the New York Comic Con exclusive pops that will be released during New York Comic Con weekend. And these are pops of Pizza Rat and Polly Pigeon, newer variants, because we did get some last year. These will be most likely available, obviously, during the weekend of New York Comic Con, but you could reserve your spot to get these as of this past Monday, September 20th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And these pops are limited to 2,500 pieces each. On the same day, Funko had announced an Old Man Steve from Avengers Endgame as a part of the Year of the Shield lineup exclusive to Amazon. Then we got ourselves a pop of Queen General Ramonda from What If, in which this is expected to release as early as December 2021. On that same day, Funko had announced a deceased Batman collector's box, which will have a chance at 4 different pops that you can get. There is Batman and Joker with bloody variants in which you can get 1 of 4 of those pops along with some accessories to go along in this set. On that same day, Pop Culture had announced an exclusive glow-in-the-dark variant of Mayhem for the Venom lineup, in which that is available now on the Pop Culture website, and unknown of whether it's restricted shipping to US and Canada or just restricted shipping to the US. GameStop had announced their own exclusive 2-pack of Batman and the Joker from the 1989 Batman movie, which this is expected to release as early as October 2021. Then on September 18th, Funko had announced a set of Batman pops to celebrate Batman Day, in which we got ourselves all Funko Shop exclusive pops of die-cast Batman, Batman Beyond, the Joker King, and an artist series Batman, along with Funko HQ and Funko Hollywood exclusive pops of artist series Batman. And it's unknown yet of when these are going to be released. So I guess we can kick off with the Blacklight Stranger Things pops, which definitely makes sense, especially with the whole theme of the Upside Down. And I really love the boxes involved with these Blacklight pops. I think the logo for Stranger Things just really pops out nicely with the whole Blacklight box. The Demogorgon, I feel like the Demogorgon, I'm kind of iffy of whether I feel like this is like my least favorite or it's kind of like my second favorite. The 11 is really cool. I like the idea of the different color strands of hair, which I think is actually something MD has been wanting out of these Blacklight pops for a while. And that's being pulled off with 11. And I think this will actually look nice. And then we have Dustin, which I think is my favorite, not only because Dustin's my favorite Stranger Things characters, it's just the colors that are used here, I think are used very well. And it's a huge variety of different colors. Like you got yellow, orange, purple, pink, blue, green. And I think all these colors used in the spots they are just work out perfectly fine. Then we have the New York Comic Con exclusive limited to 2,500 piece Pizza Rat and Polly Pigeon, which luckily we're talking about these now so that we save time for when we actually talk about New York Comic Con exclusives. These pops, they're okay. I mean, we got the Pizza Rat and Polly Pigeon pops last year, like I mentioned, 2 variants of each actually. And I felt like they were better last year than what we have right here. For the Polly Pigeon, at first I was a little confused of why they went with the green colorway, but then I realized New York Jets. So I think they went with the New York Jets football theme because previously they've done with the Polly Pigeon from 2019 with the baseball outfits. We've had essentially the New York Yankees. And then we've had last year, I believe it was the New York, I want to say Mets or Islanders. It could have been one of those teams that have the orange and blue colorway on their jerseys. Then we have Old Man Steve from Avengers Endgame, which I think this pop is great. This is one of those pops where you didn't think that it was going to be made, but it ended up being made, which I won't go into detail, of course, of where this is exactly in the movie, because assuming that even though the movie has been out for 2 years, that MD Shady still has not seen Avengers Endgame. But this is excellent. A lot of people are really hyped for it, and I'm glad this pop was made. The character from What If, I think this was the most recent episode, and I mean most recent episode the week prior, because of course, as we are recording this podcast, a new episode of What If did drop on Disney Plus today, and this character was not in it. So I think this was from the week prior's episode, and this is pretty decent. Then we have the Deceased Collector's Box or Mystery Box. This is pretty decent. I mean, of course, this seems to be, and they explained it is a mini comic series. Of course, it seems like it is the DC version of the Marvel Zombies. So I'm curious of whether, because we already have Batman and Joker in this box, will these be the only ones, or will they eventually do more deceased pops? Maybe that could be the theme of this year's Black Friday mystery boxes, is all deceased. Who knows? These are okay. I like the bloody variants better, of course. I feel like the commons are a little pointless. The glow in the dark mayhem April Parker pop, which I know this was originally, like the original one was a pop in a box exclusive, I believe, since a lot of the Venom exclusives have been going to pop in a box recently. And now we have a glow in the dark variant, which I'm just going to assume already that it may be just the white or it may just be the blue that glows in the dark. So I'm not really too excited. Then we have ourselves the Batman and Joker 2-pack, which I remember hearing about this because people would share like the product code, I think it is. But when people would post that and it would be like, oh, Batman and Joker 2-pack, I kind of assumed that it was just going to be, let's take the common Joker and take the common Batman, slap them into a 2-pack and make an exclusive, kind of like what Barnes and Noble and Books A Million likes to do with a lot of pops. But we actually have two different not two different outfits, but two different molds, and essentially with the Joker, a whole new outfit with this pop, which is why I like this 2-pack. I really like the way they did the Joker because, of course, especially I think it was last week's podcast, actually, we talked about the 10-inch Joker that was just essentially a 10-inch variant of the already existing 1989 Joker that released last year. That Funko is diving into kind of a newer outfit and newer mold for the Joker. And you have a newer mold for Batman, but of course it's still the same because you can't really change Batman all that much, especially with his outfit. So this 2-pack, I like it. Then we got ourselves the Batman Day Funko Pops, which these are pretty decent. I'll start off with the die-cast Batman. I actually seen what this pop looks like, I guess, in person because Funko did a live stream on Instagram showing off the Batman Day pops, and the die-cast Batman looks a little weird. I mean, it makes sense because die-cast meaning metal. It's a pop made basically completely of metal. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. The black kind of looks a little chromy, but overall, I know there's going to be people that will probably be getting this, of course, especially if you already have the die-cast Captain America from FunCon. Batman Beyond, that's actually a really cool pop that they did. They already made a Batman Beyond in the past, but doing this kneeling pose and kind of a different facial expression makes it really awesome. And I really enjoy this pop. It's probably my favorite out of the entire set of these Batman Day pops. The Joker King is also really cool. I like the whole detail with the face, and it gives a whole new perception of what Joker, I guess, would look like in this case. Then we got ourselves the Artist Series pops. I don't know what it is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but the more common Artist Series Batman that we have here, I actually like. I actually like this Artist Series. That's so hard for me to say because I've been trashing on Artist Series for so long, but this is the only one I'm looking at where I can actually see a bit of an artsy aspect to this. Is it the greatest? No, all the Artist Series aren't that great. But this one, I can see where the art is coming from, where maybe, let's say you had a blank canvas and then you drew, let's say, a brick wall, and then you have bats flying around and you can see the shadows reflecting off of the bricks. That is how I see that in this pop. And that's only talking about the gray with the bats flying all over it. The other ones, we're going back to a little bit of trash. Going back to a little bit of trash. The blue with the Batman logo kind of just like shining. It's a little distracting. And then the purple one is okay. I like the purple and green mix, but overall it's like, ugh.
Holy moly. We have Stranger Things blacklight pops. For those of you who know me pretty well, you know that one, I'm loving the blacklight pops, and two, I love Stranger Things. So this is so cool for me. I'm a little disappointed that we haven't seen Steve, but knowing how these blacklight pops go, we will definitely be seeing more down the line, whether it be from cons or more Target exclusives. So starting off with the Demogorgon, it is a little bit weird, but I also really do like the colors. I think that the pink and the yellow are going to do very, very well. The blue, I'm kind of iffy about. I do like the blue on the toenails. I think that will kind of give the blacklight effect pretty well. And I'm glad that they kind of kept that middle section completely black because it really highlights the pink and the yellow, which is great. 11, this is really cool. At first I was like, oh, this is the 11 that they decided to make into a blacklight pop, but then I thought about it and I'm like, no, this one makes sense. I mean, there's so many colors going on with the outfit that she's wearing that it just makes a lot of sense. The hair looks awesome. Yes, I do usually request that they do more highlights in the hair when we see these blacklight pops. Obviously, for the most part, pops that have hair, at least for blacklight, do have some amount of highlight, but this is what I would consider perfect in my opinion. I think it looks good, and God, I really like this pop. And last but not least, we have Dustin, and there is a lot of colors going on here, and they match up very, very well. I think it looks great. This blacklight pop is amazing. I need to get my hands on these. These are going to be pops that I will not be passing up on. I know that pre-orders are done, but I mean, there's lots of ways to get pops, and these are ones that I definitely need to have in my collection. Then we have the first look at the NYCC exclusive pops. I'm not very excited, if I could be completely honest. I mean, it's kind of pops we've already seen before with just different colorways, but I do really enjoy these two pops rather than the ones that we had seen previously. Then we have the old man, Steve. And yep, if you guys put your guesses in the comments down below, you were probably correct by saying I have not seen Endgame yet. I mean, it's just so long. It's such a long movie. I haven't had time to watch it. I really just should probably get around to it. I've seen almost every other Marvel movie at this point. So I just need to sit down and do it finally. But this pop is pretty cool, and I could definitely see this being a pop where people didn't expect to happen, and it did. So that's pretty neat. Then we have the new character from What If. I don't remember the character's name exactly, but I do really enjoy how it looks. All these What If pops are definitely pretty interesting and they're very highly detailed. And this is a show that also I haven't watched and I do need to get around to it because, if anything, this show really sparks my interest. And I think if I like it enough, I might actually collect the pops, even though I don't really collect that many Marvel pops. Then we have the deceased lineup, and I was unaware that this was like a mini series or whatever, but it is just so intelligent to call it deceased like that. It's just so amazing how they took the name of their company essentially and turned it into these pops. I mean, it's just 100% better than Marvel Zombies, I could say right now. And I mean, I guess that's not saying a lot because I hate Marvel Zombies. But these aren't bad. From what we've seen out of these two pops, I'll call it for now, is they're not super outrageous like those Marvel Zombies. And I think the reason being is because if this is actually something that's been made in comic book form, they're going straight from the comics and not just making, let's say, Gambit and then turned into a zombie where he's missing half of his rib cage and all these different things. I definitely like this better, which is very surprising because generally I do enjoy Marvel more than DC. But this box isn't bad, I would say. But I really hope it is not the Black Friday mystery box, considering last year's I was not a huge fan of and I didn't buy any when those are one of my favorite things that I look forward to each year to purchasing. Then we have the Mayhem, the Venomized Pop. I can't believe we're still getting Venomized Pops. It just really doesn't make sense to me how this is still going on. But this one doesn't look too bad. The glow is probably going to be the white, if I had to guess. If it's the blue, then that would kind of suck. And if it's both, that would be okay. I guess that's the better option, but I could see it just being the white in the eyes and the mouth. Then we have that new 2-pack of the Joker and Batman, and I really enjoy this. I think that these pops turned out good. I will start with the Batman. I like the pose, how he has the clenched fists kind of ready to throw some punches. I think that this is a really solid Batman pop, especially if you're just a casual collector of, let's say, DC pops or Batman pops. I think like if I wanted one Batman pop, I mean, I already have one. It's the Surfs Up Batman, which I think is just the greatest thing in the world. But if you just wanted one Batman pop, I could see a lot of people going towards this pop because I think it just looks good and it's kind of simplistic, which is good in my opinion. And then we have the Joker, and I really enjoy this figure. There's a lot about this figure that I enjoy. I really enjoy the kind of black and white costume because it works really well with the face, I believe, and how the feather in his hand has a lot of color to it, and obviously the green in his hair. It just looks really, really awesome. And then, not to mention the kind of stained teeth, they also stand out from the face and the rest of the costume having a little bit of yellowing. This is one of my more favorite Joker pops and Batman pops. I would possibly consider buying this 2-pack. Then we have more of the Batman pops, and I guess I'll start with the die cast. This is cool. I'm really liking these diecast pops. They're kind of pretty pricey, but I do enjoy the fact of the clear kind of plastic box with a metal figure. This is kind of what I was getting at. I don't remember exactly when I talked about it, but I remember talking about it on the pod. I think I kind of said for the artist series that it should be something more along the lines of these die-cast pops, where it's got a heavier price point, but it's also just something that's really good quality and something that you wouldn't mind paying a premium for, because it really is a premium pop. Then we have the Batman Beyond Batman, and that is awesome. I'm always hyped when we get more Batman Beyond stuff, because Batman Beyond is just awesome. And this pose is really, really cool. I do enjoy the leaning. You can definitely have a couple of really cool photo shoots, I think, for like the Funko challenge of the day with this pop, because it's just perfectly set up so that you can have it on a window stoop or something that would look really, really awesome. The King Joker, I believe, is what it was called. And this is interesting. I could definitely see this being the pop out of all of these Batman pops that people are going to gravitate towards the most, because it's something new that we haven't seen completely. And it's really interesting. I don't know a lot about it, so I can't really discuss it too much, but I do think it looks cool. And I definitely believe that people are going to really, really like this pop. And last but not least, we are talking about artist series pops, and they are 3 Batmans. And this is crazy. I thought I was going to come on this pod and for the first time be like, wow, we have an art series pop that I actually enjoy. And it's not because it's the purple one and I love purple. It's the gray one. And it makes sense that DK had also said that he likes it, because I feel the same way. It's obviously, like he said, not great because we haven't really seen a great artist series pop, but it's bearable, and it is the closest thing I think we have seen yet to artist series. I don't know exactly what it is about it. DK did a pretty good job discussing it, but I'm very, very surprised we both had the same opinion about this, but at the same time, not, because it's not a bad pop at all. And then we have the other 2 artist series pops, and these are not terrible, but they're not good. The purple's kind of cool because I like purple, but that's about it.
All right, guys. So that is going to be the end of this week's podcast. If you enjoyed this week's edition of a Funko Popcast, make sure you smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, and let us know your opinion of this past week's Funko Pop announcements. Press that subscribe button for more content like this podcast and any other videos we do on this channel in the future, and press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. And if you guys haven't yet, follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Popcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this week's podcast, and we hope to see you guys next week in what will be the top 10 Funko Pops of September 2021 list. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
That thing back wherever it came from, or so help me, so help me. Peace in, peace out.